Hello and welcome back to the Forts Pro League Season 4, where we're kicking things off here with a wonderful match between Team Westwind and Team Amimo. You heard that right. That is Season 4 kickoff for the Forts Pro League. And well, things are getting even more exciting this year, this league season, because this time it's officially sponsored by Alienware. You heard that right. Alienware themselves are adding into the prize pool, giving the competitors here some extra goods for winning their matches and such. And well, I'm actually really excited for that, because that means that their competitors are actually getting some really cool rewards, more than just, Steam gift cards and such, and the other prizes that we typically hand out here at the Forts Pro League. But enough about that, because this match is starting with the first shots fired, as here we have on the left-hand side, Team Westwind, Geiger and Malm, playing as the... Oh, Lord have mercy. It's a Seep mirror match. That means it's going to be missiles on all sides, as we see the first swarm missile launchers placed here for Team Westwind. Well, let's check out the red team here, Team Amimo. Also, with the Seep commander, they're going to be playing it a little bit differently, it would seem. They have one player going for the swarm missiles, whereas the second player here, Dory, is going for the laser weaponry. This is not at all uncommon. Fire beams and plasma beams are exceptional weapons to pair with the swarm missile launchers. They just combo so very well, the synergies are top tier, and well, that's why we're seeing it here in this match. But I like Westwind's strategy here. Blue team on the left, they're just going for mass missiles, which is my favorite kind of missiles. Also, shout out to this little buzzsaw here. It's got a single wooden strut in front of it, keeping it intact, safe from the counter-sniping, of which Team Amimo is not doing a whole lot of, but I think that's mostly because they didn't have a sniper. But that's changing. That's changing right now. The question I have is, how will this match progress? It looks like Team Westwind is a little bit ahead. The blue team here on the left is going to have opening volley options. They'll get the chance to fire first, and they will take it. We have, immediate vengeance taken. Buzzsaw fires and gets absolutely sniped out. But swarm missiles focus firing doesn't quite kill the core, but does break through. With the help of the buzzsaw and, well, 3 swarm missile launchers, they break through Dory's defenses and touch the core, which does some damage. Now, I've mentioned it before, but swarm missiles are a type of hybrid weapon, as I typically describe them. They themselves, alone, are not a threat to the enemy fort. They more like scourge the skin the outer layers of the opponent's defenses and deal some damage, but they're not going to actually break the fort so much as just scour its exterior of anything exposed. But they deal just enough damage that if you group them together in large clumps, like, 4 swarm missile launchers targeting the same place, they can actually deal some real fort-breaking damage. And that's what we saw there. Breaking entirely through Dory's defenses and hitting the core, but not hard enough to actually eliminate the core. Whereas you see swarm missiles doing what they do best and killing wind turbines, even if they weren't aimed at the wind turbines. It doesn't take much to break those things, especially now when swarm missiles are involved. But unsurprisingly, we see Team Westwind upgrading into the nuclear option, bringing out 3 warheads, whereas Team Amimo is just sticking with the swarm missiles for the moment. Looks like they're getting the upgrades going there. Choosing to add fire beams in rather than plasmas, though Dory did build the storages necessary for plasmas, just hasn't actually constructed them. I imagine mostly because the red team here is looking to play on the defensive, probably because they don't have the same caliber of firepower out on the board. At least, not yet. Laser weaponry take a bit longer to bring onto the field than the missile weaponry. The missile weaponry is more of a mid-game, whereas laser's a bit more late-game. It was not a surprise. No shock value there. So the red team's just looking to survive. Take map control and keep themselves alive long enough to bring their heavier weapons to bear. Whereas Team Westwind is going to be looking to end the game here with a few well-placed missile strikes. And we're going to get to see that here in a moment once Melm's sniper comes online, which is right now. I assume we're going to be firing now-ish. Can do it. There's the active ability, and missile launch detected. Triple impact. Surprisingly little damage dealt to Dory here, despite taking 3 warheads ostensibly directly to the face. But the sniper follow-up just kind of dismembers and deconstructs everything left. Just dissects it all. The missile's doing a little more than stripping away the frontal armor, but that did leave Dory's internals a bit vulnerable, which Team Westwind took full advantage with the snipers. Which is, you know, always satisfying to see. A couple minigunners out of Malm just to add a little extra pressure. Those are typically used to get rid of anti-air, like machine gunners and such. We'll see if that comes into play here. Looks like Dory's trying to bring the fire beam to bear. But the nuke's swing and a miss. It completely passes through some background bracing. That fire beam should be able to hit those missiles, although I don't think it had the time to. That was wild. I'm sorry, the nuke just went under the sniper, above the sandbag, went all the way to the rear and impacted on the wind turbines. These turbines typically effectively immune to damage, but apparently not this time. The missiles finding their way through. Oh. Those minigunners just saved Malm entirely. That could have been lethal. The way those were aimed, both were looking to land right about directly on Malm's core. That splash damage would have eliminated Malm entirely. The joy of nukes. They're always a threat, a huge threat. Always. But that is a beautifully placed fire beam out of Dory, completely defending those nukes right up until the last moment when the power of miniguns came to bear to knock them out of the sky. Similar kind of situation, but this time Nemo taking some damage, knocking him down to 70% core HP. A single nuke impacts, taking a huge chunk out of Dory's base, but not enough to deal any significant damage. It's just some external armor taking the hits there. It will temporarily block Dory's fire beam, so they'll have to fix that before we're getting access to the weapons again. And looks like Team Mimo Anemone is ready to fire their missiles once more. The sniper's doing great work, eliminating every single minigunner off of Westwind's topmost base. This is going to get scrappy. It's going to get scrappy, and then someone's going to land their nukes, and the game is going to end. And that's what's going to happen here. The fire beam's keeping it alive. Massive damage. Malm loses effectively most of his base. That hurt. Malm down to 48% on his core. Uh-oh, that's a lot of nuke. Oh. Dory doing a wonderful job with the armor construction. Incredibly spaced armor, causing those warheads to detonate far away from everything important, but good lord, the sheer mass. The volume of structure that was just ripped out of Dory's base is incredible. Minigunner's not finding purchase here. That fire beam trying desperately to, well, survive, as another beautiful fire beam. Oh boy. Those missiles just barely making it across. Well, almost made it across before getting shot down. Remember, one of the side effects, passive abilities of SEEP is that the nukes will detonate and split into swarm missiles when they are destroyed. So all those swarm missiles were both nukes getting taken out and just splashing all over Malm's base. Still doing some damage, but not nearly the amount of damage that would be inflicted if those were actual nuke impacts. But I love this out of Dory here. Just massive spaced armor. There's nothing to hit there except wooden structure. Look at that. Nuke makes it, splashing onto just some extraneous wooden structure on both sides. Dory not able to actually bring the fire beam to bear this time. Luckily, you didn't need it to get one of the nukes across, but at this point, Malm's taken a lot of eco damage. Those turbines are not in a happy place right now. Like, Malm is okay, not in immediate danger of destruction, but having taken that much eco damage, there's not going to be a whole lot of... Oh, no. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. That nuke goes straight clean through the hole, which the buzzsaw had dug, and detonates on the inside. Dory just moments from destruction. Those buzzsaws coming in with a vengeance, completely out of money. Uh-oh, another round of nukes incoming, but Dory has no money to repair. Trying desperately to do any kind of rebuilding just to stay in the game. But the core is exposed, the nukes fly, and it's not enough. Minigun for the finisher. Dory has been eliminated. But wait, there's more. This game and the entirety of the Forts Pro League Season 4 is playing with a brand new feature. For those who have joined live streams recently, you will know that we now have access to co-op on death. That means that when a player is eliminated, they are not removed from the game, but instead share control over any and all remaining cores. So this means that Team Mima is still fully operational. You know, minus the core and anything else in between. Which is, it's still painful. Like, don't get me wrong. Losing a core, not a good thing. But now both players have access to all the same resources. They can share their APM, which usually results in lots of sniper activity. So that's cool. So I like that a lot. But this does firmly put Team Westwind in the lead. Team Mima is down an entire player, down an entire core, and the last remaining core has 70% remaining. With no energy weapons currently active, Westwind is just kind of in the lead everywhere. They have the run of what they want to do, and what they want to do is, it looks like they want to build more snipers and machine gunners, is what it looks like what they're doing right now. I think they're just going to use what they currently have, apply map control, and land the nukes, which, very effective, as you can see. Massive damage. Team Mima is out of money once again, despite having the combined economy of both players, of the entire right-hand side of the map. Red Team's just kind of out of money entirely. Like, they don't have the money to rebuild. You can see they're struggling to even press the repair button. It's just they don't have it. And a single nuke flies, and it's not even close. Whereas on the other hand, oh, nuke goes drunk and lands somewhere unimportant. We'll see if Malm gets to launch his nukes here in a second. Malm floating some money. Ah, that's why. Looking to get himself a new technology, going with the energy weaponry. I think Malm has just been struggling to keep his eco alive this whole time. The energy deficit has been a problem for Malm. Mostly because he's been pummeled. He's been pummeled something fierce by swarm missiles. And swarm missiles are the natural predator of turbines. So that's, I think you could put 2 and 2 together there. Look at Mima Anemone's base. It's just, it's Swiss cheese. It's in disrepair. It's derelict, falling apart, and still launching missiles. Missiles which, by the way, are threatening to make it across the map. That was an absolutely beautiful firebeam, by the way. That firebeam not only defended the swarm missiles, or the nukes from a team and Mima coming across the field, but also ignited Malm's nukes as they were launching from his own base, which caused them to burn up out of the sky and detonate in the air before impacting the other team. Which is, you know, kind of an effective strategy. Like, why bother building anti-air when you could just burn your opponent's weapons out of the sky consistently without having to worry about RNG at all? Oh my god, all that anti-air. It does nothing! Malm takes massive damage. His poor turbines. Half of them just got chunked. Malm losing a whopping 2% HP in that impact, which is, you know, not much. Still, a scary... Any amount of core damage from a nuke is a scary amount of core damage because all it takes is just a little bit closer on the splash and suddenly you're taking your entire health worth of damage. Which is a lot of damage. Uh-oh. Oh, wow! Those machine gunners annihilating 2 of the incoming nukes right at the last possible second. Firebeam... defends it. Nuke lands, massive damage. Malm taking another huge hit. Running out of money, now selling some of his dense bracing there just to try to fix it. Doesn't have the income to even properly repair this. Like, it's... Malm just lost every single piece of anti-air in that single strike. Team... Anemone is staying in this and doing real threatening damage throughout it. Behind this, however, Geiger is expanding with additional buzzsaws, which is not a lot of damage, but it is damage. Firebeam defending the nukes. Oh, that's unsustainable damage. Uh-oh. Malm just takes both of those nukes directly to the face. His core drops to 9%. Ladies and gentlemen, Anemone may have been on the back foot, but you never count the nukes out, and this is exactly why. Malm taking massive damage, getting bullied almost entirely out of the game. His poor turbines are gone again. Just Malm's base is coming apart at the seams, and everywhere else for that matter. The fronts, and the back, and the top, and even the center. Malm at this point is selling off his nukes. He's had enough. He's saying, I'm going to die. I cannot spend on firing weapons right now. I have to do everything I can to not die. And reinvesting that money into economic expansion, rebuilding his turbines in a much more safe place where they can't get sniped by nukes, which technically is not true. They can still get wiped out by drunk nukes, which is just a thing that they do. But they're much, much less likely to die back there. Oh no. Those are mortars. Malm is afraid. Mortars are an existential threat. Oh no. If a single mortar had come in on top, that core was exposed to mortar impact. Oh no. Look at that. And it's perfectly aimed. One more shot like that can eliminate Malm directly. Although Malm is on top of the ablative armor, keeping the sandbags on top. The mortars can't get through sandbag layer in a single volley, so as long as Malm rebuilds the sandbags after every volley, it's fine. Jesus, good lord. Westwind getting annihilated by these nukes. Absolutely annihilated. Geiger had spent a lot of money on indensifying his base, complete with anti-air and all kinds of other goodies, which, while nice and effective, does nothing to defend against nukes. The nukes just chunk everything, and all it really did is make it such that when the nuke landed, it did much, much more damage. As you guys may have remember, Team Anemone's base. Very spaced. Oh, good lord. It snakes up from below. It impacts Geiger's core. But look at this. The nuke lands and destroys like 4 struts of wood because they're massive boxes and there's nothing there to hit but 4 struts of wood. Whereas over here on the other side, look at how much armor. Look at how dense it is. And every time the nuke lands and vaporizes every bit of it. That last hit even knocked Geiger down to 82%, taking out this entire dangle. That's not good. That's not the world you want to live in. Team Westwind getting bullied here by a pair of nukes and a firebeam. A second fire beam now coming online. It's only a matter of time before Team Anemone gets themselves a plasma beam and does very real deep penetration of the Team Westwind's defenses. But speaking of plasma beams, wouldn't you see it? Wouldn't you love it? But Malm just placed one, hoping to get it constructed before something horrible happens to it. We'll see if that ends up being the case. However, it is fairly well defended against nukes specifically, and also against fire beams. Kinda sorta against mortars, but there's not a lot of mortars. Team 2 over here in the red, they're not investing heavily in the mortars. They're just keeping them as a threat, which I appreciate that. That's a good strategy. We'll see how that works out for them. So far, it's worked pretty well. Oh! Fire beam penetrates deep, ignites a bunch of internals, but won't cause any extra damage, it looks like. Whereas on the other side, fire beam's just kind of working around here. The minigunner's taken out a bunch of machine gunners. The anti-air's getting attacked from every angle. Here comes double nuke. Another big chunky hit. Team Anemone face tanks that with mostly metal, but a bit more spaced out in Team Westwind, so that'll be a repairable. It'll take a bit of money to repair that, but it is repairable, and it looks like it will be repaired. Red team finally getting a plasma beam on the board, which will be a direct fire and existential threat to Team Westwind. Uh-oh. Massive damage. Those poor miniguns. They were surrounded by so much metal, and it's all gone! Yeah. Team Westwind really needs to pick up the pace here. They're getting picked apart blow by blow, and it is not working out for them. Even trying to use the same fire beam tactics. Ooh. Plasma beam comes online, penetrating the defenses, just clean through the armor. Anemone uses a fire beam of their own. This is the point where the red team needs to start really armoring up their weapons, because lacking sufficient doors, that plasma is going to pick everything off one by one, which is a very laser thing to do. A very, very laser thing to do. Ooh, speaking of which, plasma beam burning both nukes out of the sky, effectively for free. Good god, just watching the nukes impact. Uh-oh. This is what death looks like. Yep. There it is. And we're off to round 2 in the Forts Pro League. Here's Season 4 between Westwind and Anemone. The commanders have changed, but the sides have not. As here we have on the left-hand side in the blue, it is Team Westwind. Malman Geiger playing as the Pinch Fist commander. Looking like they've got themselves a pretty dead giveaway build order here. They're announced to the world that they are Pinch Fist, and they have one goal. Sell off their fort and replace it with technology options. Compared to their opponents here, playing as the Overdrive commander. They're getting themselves set up a bit more stables type situation. They'll be further back. I love this update to Overdrive. The addition of the upgrade center into the tech tree as a feature of Overdrive specifically means that players like Dory here can skip traditional tier 1 tech. In exchange, they can simply go upgrade center, which enables upgrade center to actually be part of what would be considered a normal build order in terms of things like heavy weapons rushes or really anything else. Of course, missing tier 1 tech means you don't get access to tier 1 tech and all the goods that it comes with, so that's its own consequence. Nemo even doing some leaning techniques to pull some of the weight off of the front of his fort. This is shaping up to be an interesting match so far. It looks like everyone's going high eco. We're not going to get any real rushing out of anyone. I say that as if Nemo didn't build double buzzsaw. Oh no. Oh no. I think Team Amima realized that it was Pinch Fist and decided to say, nope, we're gonna kill him. It's an AP sniper cheese. And I think Team Westwind doesn't see this coming. They're out of time to do something about it. Oh, misses the third shot, but there's buzzsaw follow-up. And that's it. Malm is immediately eliminated at just before the 3-minute mark. Team Amima is winning this match by virtue of sniping out Westwind's core. Looks like Team Westwind already prepared, or well, the last remaining base of Team Westwind is absolutely prepared to deal with the cheese. Now that it has eliminated a player, so there's no double elimination here. But at this point, Team Westwind is at a dramatic disadvantage. Oh lord, and this sniper is just picking off the last. So here's the thing about this strategy. This strategy does not deal much in there's not really much in the way of follow-up. It's an all-in strategy. It either works or it doesn't. And what you get out of it isn't a whole lot of damage output. And there won't be much damage output out of Team Amima for quite some time. Now, Team Westwind knows this. This is why there's part of the reason why they're focusing so much on trying to re-expand. Because while this entire trunk and everything else in their base is super exposed to most anything right now, that doesn't really matter because their opponents literally don't have anything other than an AP sniper, which is, you know, the expected outcome from this. Team Amima doesn't have anything other than the AP sniper, so Westwind is going to be able to almost freely expand back down to Malm's once base, get access to some mines as well as some additional building construction space there. All the while, Team Amima is just going to tech up to tier 2, get themselves some heavy weapons, and start trying to finish off this game. However, Team Westwind's not going to go out without a bang, or a laser, specifically a very bright flash. Because Team Westwind's is going to have a heavy weapon before their opponents. Unsurprisingly, Pinch Fist with its rushy type builds do actually get heavy weapons faster than all-in cheese builds. The question is only how much damage can Westwind do with this plasma. I assume not much. Not because it can't deal a lot of damage, but because Team Amima is not going to let them. It is long past Canada clock, and Red Team here has been the aggressors for a majority of the game, and in doing so, they're fully capable of defending against a single plasma beam. And while I'm not certain they are aware what exactly the flavor of a heavy weapon is coming toward them, it is safe for them to assume they're going to get hit by something fierce. So they'll be able to defend against it. And it looks like that's what they're doing. I mean, we see this big cube in front of Dory's base here. There is some concern about the core being drop shot through what I'm going to say is the skill gap, but we're even going with the meme strats to wrap it up. Double 20 mil with Magna Beam. I approve. Although that may get themselves in trouble. Because while the meme strat is a very real strategy that is effective, the Magna Beam strat, like this, it is super effective. It's just kind of hard to pull off and risky and inconsistent. So you gotta be careful. Whereas Fire Beam, Plasma Beam, tried true, does a lot of damage. Absolutely game-ending capabilities here. Not quite enough to burn through, break anything. But it certainly tried. Yeah. Team of Meme Anemone is quite prepared for the laser beam. They were aware. And now it is time for red team. Actually, no, I think they're gonna wait for the second 20 mil to come online, which is gonna give Westwind an opportunity to fire a few more times with their laser weapons. You'll see a couple more lasers come out, but then the 20 mils will come out, and it's gonna hurt. And it's gonna hurt a lot. Combining the Magna Beam with the 20 mils means that the 20 mil scatter is no longer scatter, and instead coalesces all of its damage into approximately a single point-ish. And 20 mils technically just kind of have the most damage, period, of any weapon. The thing that makes them not super popular is that they spread their damage out all over the place. But that's not going to be the case, not with this Magna Beam. And I believe we're about to see this fire. Coming for the wraparound, doesn't quite get it. Surprised to see the 20 mil not fired first. I think there may have been an issue with the doors. Honestly, with 20 mils, I would just go straight to the front. I think Team of Meme Anemone is trying to do something extra flashy and get the reach around shot, wrapping the cannon shell around the back of Westwind's fort, and that's causing them to fail to fire their weapons, which is definitely a mistake. They could absolutely just use the 20 mil to go straight to the front door. There it is. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Look at it. Oh, that was a great save from Team Westwind. Two things happened there. One, Team Westwind got hit with the orbital reach around shots. Also, Nemo here got door sniped. Westwind's Plaza went through the open door, took out the Magna Beam, causing the rest of Meme Anemone's cannon shells to wrap down into Nemo's core, which is a lot of damage. Nemo down to 50%. And now with no Magna Beam, Team of Meme Anemone is just sending cannon shells directly across the board. And not doing much because they're getting burned out of the sky by Westwind's fire beams. This is the point where Westwind suddenly starts winning entirely because lasers are strong and door snipes are really, 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 really good. I think Meme Anemone has managed to back themselves out of a winning position by using Magna Beams and trying to style on their opponents. Team Westwind may have been victorious in the previous round, and I think it's made a Meme Anemone wants to style on them in revenge, and it is not going well. Oh. The lasers penetrating but not dealing critical damage, just igniting things on the inside. A little bit of cooking never hurt anyone. That's not true. Not when forts are involved. I still think Team Meme Anemone is in the lead here. Just by virtue of having more weapons. But Westwind is rapidly becoming an existential threat. Especially with this massive chunk of wooden bracing down here that's just ripe for additional placement of everything. Westwind investing into the munitions plants, going with cannon tech, which I think is the right answer here. Team of Meme Anemone has fully defended themselves from laser beams of every kind. We see shields here, spaced metal armor to defend against fire beams. These laser weapons aren't going to be getting any cheeky kills here outside of door sniping, which, to be fair, looks like that's exactly what they want to do. It's just a matter of whether or not they manage to get it done, and so far they've managed to do that quite nicely. So I think oh, There, almost. He tried for it, but off by a few degrees. The plasma doesn't quite make it. So this is what Westwind's doing here. They're saying, hey, our opponents on the red team, they fully defended against lasers. We can't penetrate them and break through them. Lasers aren't, they're just not strong enough to do that. So instead, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go cannons, because you can't just face tank cannons forever. And they're right. And the cannon's gonna do a lot of damage. So at the moment, Team Westwind's just kind of sitting on their laser weapons, waiting to get door snipes where they can, which is an exceptionally effective strategy, especially when you're on the back foot, like Westwind is currently. On the other hand, Team Anemone is just ramping up the damage. They've added in fire beams of their own, and adding in even more cannons, even adding in a howitzer right now. And I'll tell you right now, Westwind is not prepared for a howitzer. If that howitzer manages to complete and fire before Westwind gets scouts it, it's gonna be a problem for Westwind. It's gonna be a very good day for Meme Anemone. Meme Anemone may have nearly thrown the match with some flashy strats, but they're not out of it. They only threw away their lead. And, well, not entirely, just partially. And it shows here, as Meme Anemone ramps up the cannon power. Oh, good lord. Westwind also adding nukes. Interesting that they added in nukes instead of cannons. Like, they got access to cannons and then didn't. Oh, but there's the fire beam, and there's the ignition. Oh! Westwind sniping the howitzer projectile out of the air with the plasma beam. Just straight up anti-air plasma. But the follow-up cannon shells, Westwind taking so much damage. That's not the kind of repair bill you want to be paying. It's affordable for the moment, but it's going to eat into Westwind's budget. They won't be able to keep doing that. As here comes another, and it is again shot down, but it's not free to shoot that down. Leaving the door open for that long, forcing the anti-air plasma, means that Meme Anemone is free to just pour it on him with all the cannons. And just like that, Westwind loses another laser. Westwind's got to do something to pick up the damage output. Meme Anemone has scaled up their weapons fire, and they're coming in with a vengeance. Oh, so many cannons in the top base. Look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of which is a howitzer. Ooh. Howitzer catcher eliminates the howitzer projectile before it does any real damage. Standard cannon fires, passes clean through Westwind's base. Oh dear. You love to see that. You hate to see that if you're a Meme Anemone. Here comes the double nuke. Now, Team of Meme Anemone does have chunky amounts of anti-air, and completely clears that up. Even with the fire beam defenses, it's just not enough. Plasma again, defending against the cannon. But now, Meme Anemone is just going to fire all the cannons, and Westwind's going to suffer for it. The cannon's actually splashing into rather inconvenient targets, hitting energy shields and doors, which, to be fair, are really not bad targets for cannons. Specifically because those cannons are cheap to fire, and things like energy shields and metal doors are not cheap to replace. So it's an economic victory for Meme Anemone, but it does mean that Westwind won't be taking any serious damage from those cannon shells and howitzer makes it clean across. Immediately eliminates the last remaining fire beam for Team Westwind. Westwind is falling apart under a hail of cannon fire. It's just too many cannons out of Team Meme Anemone. It started with cannon memes, but now it's just cannons, and Westwind is falling apart. Trying to get nukes across the fields. Nukes always have a chance of landing. That's just how nukes work. They're very RNG, so if you fire them enough, eventually they get across, and eventually they deal damage. And nukes being nukes always have a chance of just immediately ending the game because they're that strong. At least in terms of damage output. But so many cannons! Oh, Westwind falling apart. One cannon shell at a time. They're banking entirely on the nukes at this point. They're gonna just start picking off anti-air from a meme anemone. And then it's going to be missiles and hoping they land on something important. But how do you survive 5 cannons and a howitzer long enough to end the game? That's a lot. That is truly a lot. Nukes don't make it, and the cannons fly. Uh-oh. Fire beams clean across the map. Westwind is losing the last of their defenses. At this point, Westwind, for a little bit now, Westwind has been surviving off of having a preset armored plating. Basically saying, hey, we were rich at some point, so we're just going to build a bunch of armor. But that armor is too expensive to replace. And now that the armor is destroyed, it's going to be replaced with wood, which is not a real replacement for metal struts. Even trying to use sandbags, which are even cheaper. But the reality is, cannons, they win via economic victory. As we see here, the cannons didn't break and destroy Westwind's core, they just broke everything else to a point where the base is falling apart. Literally crumbling due to disrepair. That's what this looks like. That's how this works, and oh god, it's getting worse. So much damage. 1%! 1% on the core. That's not much core HP remaining. And we're off to round 3, where here we have on the left-hand side, it is Team